Yay! Fucker. Fucking time. Jesus fucking Christ. Go ahead and hit. Same shit, different day. Hello, Effie. Says there's three of us on. Allison, are you one of them? Oh, let's drop back down to two. It's no real fun to rant if you're the only one here to hear me. Okay. So, last week, right near the end of the week, I ordered some PLA. It was supposed to be here on Tuesday. But for some reason, they couldn't deliver it. I didn't really even find out why they couldn't deliver it until today, when it was already going back to the assholes who sent it to me in the first place. See, I don't know what it is, but it seems like UPS and FedEx, they get to this certain point where they can't find my house. Yes, our address is on the wrong side of the road for the numbering. And yes, across the street from us is nothing but a cornfield. But you'd think the driver would go, "Oh, I should look on the other side of the road." I was a delivery driver for years. When I couldn't find an address, I would look on the other side of the road. So I'm going to have to wait for them to return my money so I can order PLA again. By then, I might be able to get a full 500-gram reel, but it still pisses me off. Well, I'm not ordering from that guy again. Let's put it that way. Because if you're selling on Amazon, you should be using Amazon. Amazon should be the one delivering it, or the U.S. mail should be delivering it. You shouldn't be using UPS or FedEx. Then on top of that, I've got an exposed nerve in my mouth, so my mouth hurts. Not been a good week. It has not been a good week. Yeah, but you don't have an address that's on the wrong side of the road for the numbering. You're also not a half mile off the road. Actually, it's only about an acre off the road, but still. You can see the road from the house. You can see the house from the road. It's not that far. I walk it multiple times a day. So am I. I live out in the middle of BFE, Effie. Like I said, there's a cornfield across the street. Yeah, we have neighbors that are fairly close, but it's still one of those things. Don't tip me about making jokes about Cleveland, Allison. And by the way, I've seen your house. It's a corner house. I've never seen the fucking dumpster you continuously say you live behind. Epi, she says that she lives behind a dumpster, but I've seen Cleveland. I've been to Cleveland a couple of times. She doesn't live behind a dumpster, she lives in a dumpster. Of course, I could also make all kinds of jokes about the Midwest, especially the Dakotas. Then explain to me why Toledo is in Cleveland. I can name all kinds of cities that Cleveland kind of encompass. Scottsdale, that's another one that Cleveland encompasses. No, it's surrounded by Cleveland. Therefore, the trash is in the dumpster. God, I'm glad there's nobody from Toledo on here tonight. Lots of people name their newspapers after a weapon. Haven't you ever heard of a peacekeeper? Actually, it's the peacemaker, but and then there's the Two Barrel News, which is a reference to a shotgun. Yeah, theirs is called the Blade, but that's not a specific weapon. We had a peacekeeper, a peacemaker, which is a nickname for a gun. We had Two Barrel News, which was a reference to shotguns. Blade, that could be anything from a razor, which you shave with, to a sword. It could be talking about a pair of scissors. Yeah, and but going by that same idea, shouldn't the Cleveland newspaper be the Cleveland Mugger? Yes, but Toledo has a lot of stabbings, and their newspaper's the Blade. Cleveland has a lot of muggings, so shouldn't their newspaper be the Mugger? Yep, and it's a plain deal. You are definitely going to get mugged. Our newspaper is the Press Tribune or the Statesman, one of those two. Not that it matters because they're both owned by the same company now, so yet you never called us. Well, we also weren't. We already had the newspaper at the time, so uh, the Statesman. So yeah, I'd talk about the news this week, but honestly, I don't care. I don't want to make anybody angry, and I don't want to seem cold and callous. So I won't put in my 2 cents on this. Yeah, I don't talk politics. That's it. Not unless it's studio politics. And then I will definitely bitch and moan about how bad the sequel Star Wars movies are. And how Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny did not feel like an Indiana Jones movie. No X-Men though. We're not talking about X-Men. Do not bring it up, Allison. I don't agree that the Marvel made missteps. Yes, they had a couple of bad movies, but a lot of them were actually really good movies. It's just nobody liked them. Wakanda Forever did a really good job of handling the loss of the guy who played Black Panther. Real depressing right from the get go. And some of the shows were but most of their choices were just bad choices on what characters to use. Like Riri Williams, Ironheart. I'm sorry, most people don't even like that character. And yeah, Secret Invasion was bad. Well, the thing is that, you know, existing material can be really good, but it's not going to be anything like what was originally written. I mean, I hate admitting this, but the first Twilight book was actually good. Yeah, it was a stupid romance that didn't make any sense in certain ways, but it really wasn't that bad. And the second book wasn't that bad either. Then they make it into a movie, and I'm looking at the movie going, that's nothing like the book. And then, because they got a few successful things like Harry Potter and Twilight, all of a sudden every popular book series is getting made into a movie. They totally, no, he's worse than a stalker, Allison. He's a groomer. Uh, but they totally screwed the pooch with Aragon. I mean, the entire ending of the movie is totally different than the book, and it made it impossible to do the second book because the second book was highly dependent on the ending of the first book. And it's like, yeah, what's wrong with you people? And then 50 Shades of Grey. Why? If you're going to do it, at least make it an NC-17 movie. Yet somehow you guys got it at an R? That's an NC-17 book. And it's not that well written. I mean, the woman thinks that she's talking about dominatrism and that whole thing, that whole end of S&M. No, the dude's an abuser, she's an idiot, and it gets worse as the series goes on. Well, S&M, part of S&M is grooming. So you got to groom the person to be able to be suitable for what your particular fetish is. You can't just. It is incredibly hard to find somebody that's into as much shit as that guy was into. I am so surprised there wasn't a fucking furry suit somewhere in that movie. But the woman who wrote it obviously did not understand anything about S&M. She thought it was all spanking and tying when no, that's not what it's about. And trust me, I have been involved with a couple of women that were into that kind of shit. I'm just not violent enough for them to be with me. Yes, I know. At least she didn't keep the vampire shit going on. I mean, at the time that all of that shit really started, both me and Allison were publishing books, and we actually had several conversations about what would happen if somebody tried to make it. And it's like, I ain't letting anybody make a fucking movie out of one of my books. Not unless I'm the one writing the script. I'll let them take something I don't care about. I mean, I'm not Stephen King. I can't just go into the bathroom and come out with a book because I didn't flush. I mean, some shitty director getting a hold of one of my books. Oh. How big of a publishing did you get? Well, have you tried contacting Hallmark? Okay, if it's finished, go over to Amazon and publish it. Get somebody to write a foreword and an explanation based on it and put it out there. Amazon's really easy. You do all the work. Then they put it together as a book. you want to go to Amazon Publishing. Just search it because I believe it runs through a separate thing and it's directly connected to Kindle. So I think it's Amazon Kindle Publishing. And if it sells well enough, you automatically get a voice book on Audible. If you want to read it yourself, you can put it on Audible yourself. KDP. That might be it. I can't remember right now. I've got books on there. I just can't remember. Yeah, she's going to get told to fuck off. You're welcome. The biggest problem is the cover art. I did ours for pretty much all of our books. Oh, the girl on a game I'm playing. I'd show you, but it's not exactly a safe game. Although I haven't seen any nudity yet, other than at the beginning of the game. I did the artwork with on some of them. It was the program, a 3D program I was using for DAWs, and then I did use DAWs to make them. Uh, to tell you the truth, a lot of the time you're better off finding somebody who's good at art and having them do it, but that requires them to read the book so they actually understand the book. See, this is why I like doing these, and I'm thinking I might switch over to this format, period. Because you get information from me and Allison, and we get the BS. Yeah, that's what you do, is get somebody who does commission work. all else fails, you can always cheat and use AI and piss everybody off good. Okay. Does it help does not see us as friends? Because technically we're colleagues. I consider you a friend, but as a fellow writer, you're a colleague. Allison, never say anything like that again. That would be like becoming on Pure Flix. You have a copy. You can send it to her. It goes for one of your books, not mine. Okay, there's two versions. One of them goes to my book. But my books cover over 500 years, so Yeah, we were both being perverted. Basically, I wrote it. I handed it off to her. She rewrote it. She handed it back to me. I rewrote it again, handed it back to her, and she did the final version. That's our process. Honestly, the story was just an accident. My second book, Wins and Losses for Beast Cat, that one, there was a story I couldn't bring myself to write, so I asked Allison to write it for me. That works too. Allison, you can answer that question yourself. Yeah, we did. But the same thing basically happened with the other ones we've done together. So the thing is, Effie, me and Allison are two very different types of writers. I'm more of a technical writer than she is. She's definitely more emotional. Well, I'm a world builder. I like to create the world. I don't necessarily like writing in it. Yeah, thanks for that. Oh, wait, that was already planned. And one of the villains, though the body died, he didn't. So, I think that's the first time I've actually killed a redhead that was a villain. I mean, I've had plenty of redheaded characters, but usually they're all the love interests. Yeah, Layla was a redhead too, which is really weird because she was Indian. Well, guys, my hour is almost up. I'm hungry. I hear Chili calling my name since I have some. Uh, I think I will get off here, go eat, and probably Saturday we're going to be doing the same thing. Maybe we'll brainstorm again just to make shit up. Have a Effie sit there and write down everything we come up with. Okay, well, I'm going to get off here, and I will talk to you guys later. Have a good night. Bye.